Hello friends, welcome to Whimsy Stamps. Today is a special day. So I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I grew up in southern Indiana, and southern Indiana is one of the most beautiful places in America, especially in the autumn. So this paper pack, let me grab that. Here it is, right here. Got it buried. The Country Farm paper pack reminds me so much of where I grew up, and I've been wanting to use this. I've kind of been saving it for the fall time because it reminds me of where I grew up in the fall. So I have paired that with the Build a Pumpkin Patch to create myself a nice little farm scene of pumpkins and falling leaves, and I just love the way it turned out. So I found the expression "Hello Pumpkin," and that comes from a Halloween set called Spirited Sentiments, and I'm using the little Hello Pumpkin. So we're going to create this card today using just these three products right here: the Country Farm paper, the Build a Pumpkin Patch, and the Spirited Sentiments. The other thing that I have pulled in is just a piece of watercolor paper. So I'm going to be using the Distress watercolor paper. And one thing that's fun to do with die cuts is to make like a fun, just mixed media kind of, I don't know if you really call it mixed media, but like ink blending and splattering and things like that to create just a fun paper to then die cut your images out of. And I love that look to go with the fall scene here. So let's work on that. I'm going to show you a couple other products. Out on the market, there's lots of companies that have different kinds of mists and things like that. So I'm using two different ones. I've got the Glimmer Mist here that's from Tattered Angels, and I have no idea where I picked this up. I've had it for a long time. And then I have some of the Distress Spray Stain in yellow. I have this fun from Seth Apatow. This is like a zinc pigment that is gold that you can splatter with. I also have some white splatter here that is just like enamel paint that you can splatter. So there's all different kinds of ways to splatter, but any kind will work to prepare your paper to do something like this. All right, so we're going to do a smooshing technique. That's a very fancy word, and I'm just going to smoosh the ink out here on my glass board, and then I'm going to spray some water. So now that I have it like that, I'm just going to take my water paper and smoosh it in there just like that, and I like to just press it around, and one of the things you can do is dry it in between, and by drying it in between, the next smoosh that I do, it'll be on top instead of blended in. So let me kind of show you that. We're going to use the heat tool just to dry it a little bit. Since we're on video, if I was just, whoopsie, I just knocked over my bottles and everything. I'm sorry, my two cords are tangled up over here. Hold on, let me get untangled. Boy, I've got my cords in a knot. There we go. Okay. Move these bottles out of the way again and knock them all over. Okay, now we're good to go. All right, we're going to dry this, and normally I would just let it air dry, but and I do several panels all at the same time, so while one's drying, I would just do another. But for purposes of the video, I'm going to go ahead and hit this with the heat gun. That way we can go on and keep working on this same sheet so that you can see the differences. So all I'm doing is drying that first layer. Yeah, that feels pretty good. And this looks still pretty wet, so I might add just a little more water. Okay, so now we're going to smush on top of this and see how it's sitting on top. Instead of blending into what it was before, I'm getting darker splotches on top. Yeah, that's what really starts adding dimension to your paper, is when you start doing things like that. So, all right, I'm liking how this one's turning out. Just gonna keep. You also get a different look if you're just pressing down or if you move your paper through. Okay, all of that's gonna give you different looks. All right. Add a little bit more water here. See if I can't get some ink on these open spots. There we go. One more corner. And this is the kind of thing that if you enjoy this kind of thing, you can really get lost in doing it just all day long. It can be so fun. So once I get it to this point, we're going to go ahead and get rid of the glass board. I'm going to hit this with my heat tool one more time. And we got some other things we're going to do to it. We'll do our splatter, and then we'll also use our inks to do a little blending to make our die cuts look the way we want them to look. That's going to be a really pretty piece. Look how splotchy that is. I like them when they're good and splotchy. Alright, so I've got a box over here that I use to spray in. I'll grab that, and of course it's got a bunch of leftover papers and things in it, so I'll pull those out. There we go. Put this piece in here, and I'm going to start with this gold one, and I'm just going to, there we go. It came out in a pretty big spray. It's one of those kinds of sprayers where if you push it halfway down you get bigger drips, and if you push it all the way down you get more of a mist. So I like to try to, there we go. And now let's try some of this one. Oh boy, whoever put the lid on this last time really got it on there. There we go. All right. Can you see those gold splatters going on? There they go. All right. Now, when I did this before, I did one in the two Mandarin Spice and Flame, and then I did another one with a yellow color and the grass skirt to get some green leaves as well. So now that my splatter is done, let's dry it one more time. Dry some of our gold. Might have to let that air dry. So I have gone ahead. Now I would take my die cuts and I would die cut my die cuts out of this paper. But this one still, even though I dried it with the heat gun, the gold takes a little bit longer to dry in the big areas. So I went ahead and I die cut one out of one that I made earlier. And this one you can tell is a little more on the yellow side instead of the red, but that is okay because every time you do this, it's going to come out very different. I die cut a second piece of the pumpkin and I left the top on. When I die cut this one, I left the top hanging off so that it wasn't on there. I've also cut down my paper. This one's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then one of our barn pictures from the country paper pad I cut down here to go on this one. We'll go ahead and glue that down. And the way I kind of do this method is when I'm in the mood to do this ink splotching and stuff, I will do probably like 7 or 8 panels in different colors, and then I just keep them in a little envelope. And then when I have an idea to do a project like this, I've got the papers already made and ready to go. So I'm not always starting from square one when I do that. So I enjoy doing this kind of thing. So every now and then I just grab a paper and I make a bunch of them. And when I run out of them, I'll do it again one of these days. So that's kind of how I operate. So after that, I also die cut some of the leaves out. And you can see these leaves have a bit more of the red. And the way I did that is I just took it was a little more yellow in the beginning, and I took my paper and I just took my ink pad and I ran it across like that. And you can see that too will give it a different look. And you can do that with any color, really. Like if I wanted this one to have a bit more yellow in it, I could just take my yellow and run it across there. And so that's something you can do. All right, before we glue this one on, I'm going to go ahead and just trim off this little bit right there. And then to give this one a little bit more dimension, I'm going to come in with this pumpkin spice and my finger dauber. And we're going to do a little bit of inking around the edges. Alright, so there's the mandarin spice, and now I'm going to come in with a little bit of the flame, and I won't go as high up. I'll keep that a little more just on the edges. Now when it comes to pumpkins, I like to connect this to here to give that a little bit of just a little bit of shadow there, so it looks like it has the sections of a pumpkin. Okay, just like that. So you can see this piece is dry already, like it would be, even the gold parts are dry, so it would be ready to go to die cut some pieces out of. But I'm just going to pop that in my envelope and have it on hand the next time I need kind of a reddish orange piece to die cut out of. This technique is fun if you're making like a word on your page, like the word yay or something like that, and you want to die cut big letters out of it. That's this is a fun way to do that as well. All right, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to layer our pumpkin just right on top of this brown one, so he has a fun stem. Alright, now I also had made one out of the greens and yellows, so I have some of those, and I'm going to take this little leaf and I'm going to add it right here on my pumpkin to look like the pumpkin leaf. I'm just going to put it right back there, just like that, so you can see how that looks. And then I'm going to get a little bit of foam. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set my pumpkin right down here in the lower corner of my card. Alright, I'm going to grab a piece of scratch paper, and I've got my grass green right here, and we're going to add just a little bit of, I may not need the scratch paper, I might be able to just do it like this, but I'm going to go around my leaves here with a little bit of green. Right. And I'll go ahead and doctor up some of these leaves as well. Just adding just a little bit to the edges. Okay, those look pretty good. All right. The last thing we're going to do here before we go gluing it all together is we're going to stamp our sentiment, which is the Hello Pumpkin. And I think I better get my Misty for this because, or my stamping platform, just to make sure. We may have to do it several times, so put my Hello Pumpkin right in there. When I'm using the VersaFine Clair, I'm perfectly fine with just stamping it with a block, but some of these other colors I have to stamp multiple times, so I'd rather have it in a block here, or a platform where I can do it over and over. Okay. Yeah, see, that's not dark enough. I definitely have to do it a few times. When these ink pads were brand new, I didn't have to do that, but now that I need ink refills for every single color. And I don't have them yet, so I'm buying them a little bit at a time. All right. Looking pretty good. I hope everyone is having a wonderful fall season. One of my favorite things about fall is the pumpkins. I am a lover of all things pumpkin flavored. That's one of those things, you either love it or you don't. It seems like people don't be halfway on the whole pumpkin thing. Oh, here we go. That'll fit right there. All right, I'm going to add my Hello Pumpkin just right up here at the top. And then we're going to add some leaves. So some of my leaves I'm going to go ahead and put some foam on the back of, and then some of them I'll just glue down. So this one I'm going to go ahead and just tuck right there. And then this one. And I wanted it to just kind of be like the leaves are falling out of the trees here. And then this last one, I'm going to kind of put on our pumpkin. All right, there we go. These these paper pads and quick card fronts. This isn't an official quick card front, but we kind of turned it into one by making it our background. And look there, I just love how that turns out. It just, if you are from the Midwest, I hope this card reminds you of home as well. So it looks like a beautiful fall day in southern Indiana to me. So, all right, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you've never made your own paper for die cuts, I hope you'll give it a try. It's a great way to give your die cuts a different and unique look every single time, because it'll always come out looking a little different. So, all right, thanks so much for joining me. Do give this video a thumbs up, and we love your comments. And I look forward to crafting with you again very soon. Have a great day.